Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be telling you about the June 14th update, which will include, amongst other things, a new season, some new tanks, and a new map. So, without any further delay, let's get into it. So to kick things off, let's go straight into the big one right here, the new season. It's going to be called the Independence. Now, what you will get in this season is going to be very similar to other seasons. It will consist of at least enough gold to pay for the basic 2,000 gold season pass. So in this season pass, you will be receiving much the same sort of basic things as seasons before it. So your standard gold, silver commanders, which will be the standard, the 2D and the 3D commanders, various tanks, equipment vouchers, consumables, emblems and inscription vouchers, and boosters. So that is just sort of a taste of what will come with this season pass. You can have the free season pass, which will of course limit you significantly on what you shall receive. Otherwise there is the 2,000 gold season pass, which effectively is free because of course you get more gold back than 2,000, so that is certainly going to be a very good option to go for. Alternatively, you will have the 6,000 gold season pass option, which will give you all of the rewards plus an additional bonus tank as well. What I shall do now is quickly focus on the classic tanks that are included in the season pass. So these are the tanks that have been out for a very long time. So starting with the Mercenary Tier 6 Absolution heavy tank, if you've already got that tank, and given that it's been out for a long time, I'm sure many people will do. If you've already got it, instead of the tank you will receive 1,672,000 silver. Moving on to the German Tier 8 Aguila Hawk 30 light tank, if you've already got that you will get 2.6 million silver. Going on from there, the British Tier 4 Vanquisher Sentinel AC1 medium tank, if you've got that already you will instead receive 880,000 silver. And finally the Mercenary Tier 8 Trinity Mark II medium tank, if you've already got that then instead you shall receive 3,744,000 silver. So quite a lot of silver to gain if you've already got those tanks. Now moving on to the T100, the brand new tank destroyer in Cold War. It is in Era 1, that's post-war. Yes, like I say, it is a tank destroyer. It's quite an interesting looking one. This one reminds me a little bit of the Bison that you can find in World War II at Tier 8. Only a little bit, mind. What you will see here is a tank with some rather interesting statistics. I won't necessarily go through all of them right now. Instead, I think I shall just do a tank review of this tank later on once it's been released and I get the opportunity to play a few games in it. But some very basic points first. The earn rates, you get an extra 20% XP earn rate, 55% silver earn rate and 10% crew earn rate. 1,850 HP, which isn't too bad. 55 kilometers an hour forward speed and 16 kilometers an hour reverse speed. Not exactly record breaking, but with a 55 kilometer an hour forward speed, that's not appalling. It's just not good either. Gun depression. Now this is where, for me, it starts looking a bit peculiar. It's giving me sort of flashbacks to the bar part of the Sturmtiger line in World War II. The gun depression for this tank is only 3.2 degrees. So yeah, hopefully you don't enjoy looking down. Gun elevation is 9 degrees, which is still not exactly great, but well, whatever. I'd sooner have those numbers flipped the other way around if I had a choice. Penetration for standard rounds is 302, penetration for premium rounds is 370, both of which do 440 damage. Aim time 2.1 seconds, accuracy 0.33. Rate of fire 5.88 rounds per minute because the reload is 10.2 seconds. Moving on now to the GSOR or GSOR 1008. This is a British World War II Tier 8 tank destroyer. Once again, I shall only give some basic information on this one, and again I shall do a more in-depth review of this one later on. I might even make an exception from the Cold War reviews and do a one-off World War II review of this tank, given that it's new. Earn rates, you get a 10% bonus XP earn rate, 50% silver earn rate. Moving on from that, it's got 1200 HP, which is a bit on the low side, I would say. Speed limit 60 kilometers an hour forwards and 17 back, which that's actually very good for a World War II tank destroyer. 60 kilometers an hour, that's yeah, that's quite good. Gun depression 11 degrees, also very good. Elevation 10 degrees. Penetration with standard rounds 226, with premium rounds it's 321, both of which do 320 damage. Aim time 2.3 seconds, accuracy 0.34. The rate of fire is 4.71 rounds per minute with a reload time of 45 seconds, and it is an autoloader, so you have 4 rounds per clip with an intra-clip reload of 2 seconds. Not too bad, I would say. Of course, once you've completed all 100 levels of the Season Pass, that will automatically enable you to get an extra 25% vehicle XP with each game you play thereafter. Once you complete an additional 18 levels of the Season Pass, that will give you a 25% Commander XP bonus for each battle played thereafter. And finally, once you complete 24 additional levels, you will receive the 25% silver bonus for each battle played thereafter. Moving on from the Season Pass itself, we can then look forward to the Independent Starter Pack. Now this is once again another completely free pack which everyone can claim once per account. What you'll receive in this bundle is 3 days of premium time, 5 lots of 2x silver boosters, 5 lots of ×3 vehicle XP boosters, and finally 5 lots of ×4 Commander XP boosters. Available on Xbox and PlayStation, so please do remember to claim that. Last time it was under the bundles section in the store. I would imagine that will be much the same this time, so do check that out and don't miss out on that. Another feature that we will be seeing this update is multi-turret support. So this is going to be a World War II feature, as it is for some tanks already. But after the update, we shall see the M3 Lee, the ONI or ONI, and the KV4 KTTS. All 3 of those will be receiving additional gun turret functionality, so that should be quite interesting. Moving on from there, we have the somewhat controversial artillery update. Now, this has been welcomed by some and condemned by others, but nonetheless, this is what we have coming forward through the update. So, there'll be a change to the shell audio. So basically you'll be able to hear the shells coming in for a longer period of time. You'll be able to be a bit more sort of aware that a shell has been fired to allow you to take the appropriate action. The shell tracers, so the sort of the image, if you will, of the shell streaking through the sky is now brighter and just generally more visible. It will also stay visible for longer, so you'll be able to see those shells in flight, hopefully giving you at least a bit more opportunity to move out of the way should you see it heading towards you. There is also now going to be a targeted signal, so basically that means that if an artillery piece is looking at you, then you will get a message on your screen saying that you have been targeted by enemy artillery. Now this is, as the as the developers have said, this isn't necessarily going to be a free pass to avoid being hit by artillery, because of course they have said that this will only go off if the artillery is looking directly at you. So in a scenario where they are leading their shot, so in other words shooting in front of your tank as you move forwards, they then won't be looking directly at you. In that scenario you will not have the targeted warning go off. As far as I am aware, that is what they have said, so we can only go by that for now until of course we get the opportunity to test it out for ourselves. Something else to note regarding the artillery update. So the United States artillery line will have the alpha damage and rate of fire change. So basically it means that they will not be able to one-shot a tank anymore, other than I suppose lucky ammo racking, but as a counterpoint to that, their rate of fire is just that little bit quicker. So in other words, the damage per minute should be roughly about the same, or certainly very similar, but in terms of people who aren't playing artillery, they shouldn't find them quite such of a nuisance. A brief mention of some additional training missions that have been added, so it's basically a guide for players. It just allows new players to get integrated into the game just that little bit more easily. They're not going to be sort of thrown out with a sink or swim approach as has otherwise been the case for a little while. They're now going to get a more detailed, I suppose, tutorial. Co-op will also see a reduction in queue time. That will now be capped to 45 seconds, so that is World War II co-op, meaning that if you choose to use that particular game mode, you won't have to wait forever to be entered into the game. Now, here is a big one that a lot of people will want to know about and have been looking forward to, I am sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new map. Siegfried Line has returned. This is going to be available for players in World War II from Tier 5 upwards. It's also available for Cold War in all eras. This will be an interesting map, I'm sure. The previous version of it was a mixture of an urban environment. That is what this is still categorized as. So that's the type of camo your tank will have on it, if you have camo on your tank. But also it involved a very large open field area as well. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out in both World War II and Cold War, what with the new artillery mechanics and indeed true vision respectively. Moving on from that, we have various events available to us now. So Premium Bonds 7, you get an extra 50% XP and silver on every battle you play on the Type 5 Heavy line, the Foch 155 line and the Object 140 line. So if you don't have those tanks, then now is the time to start or otherwise finish the grind, or otherwise just enjoy the amount of silver you get when playing those tanks if you've already got them. There'll be a Father's Day Emblem and Inscription urn event, which means that you'll be able to decorate your tanks in various Father's Day emblems, and there'll also be a 50% discount on the Fatherland tank. There is also a Flag Day event, which means that a random drop challenge for various flags will be available. There's also a few tests going on throughout this new season. There will be a latest matchmaker test, so basically that will run through the 24th of June through to the 27th of June. They're going to be looking at the matchmaker. I believe basically what that will do is look at how many battles each individual in the game has played, to try and make the dispersal of veteran players versus novice players a little bit more even, so that you don't get a completely one-sided game, or at least that's the idea behind it anyway. Something else to look forward to is the fact that there will be an even teams tier dispersion. So basically that means that you won't come across the scenarios such as your team has, let's say, 10 tier 10s and 5 tier 9s, and the opposite team has 14 tier 10s and 1 tier 9. Instead, it will be 10 tier 10s and 5 tier 9s and 10 tier 10s and 5 tier 9s on each team, or otherwise whatever the composition would be. So that should again help make the games a little bit more balanced, a little bit more even, to prevent those really quick games and those rather unsatisfying rolls. Moving on now to the new sales and the new bundles, we have heavyweight starters, that is the Citadel Tiger 1 alongside also the T14. We then have the Gunnery Master Bundle number 2, which is the SU-12244 and the TOG 2, followed by the Italian Flare, which is the Bisonte C45 and the Progetto M35. Deals of the week will be the Atomic Centurion and the M48A2 Patton. The personal offers are the Panzer IV Schmoltern, the AMX Chaffee and the LT432. Next up we have some minor map tweaks for Cold War. It's just adjusting the spawn locations to certain types of battle, just for quality improvement really, I would say. Moving on now briefly through the additional improvements and changes. Basically for the multi-weapon tanks, they have now finally sorted out the reticle placement so that where you actually look with your reticle or crosshairs is in fact where you're shooting, as opposed to it previously being slightly offset and thus making it quite difficult to shoot the enemy. Remember and Honor Inscription was redesigned to be larger and easier to see. You've got various HUD improvements, so the font size has been increased for easier readability. Updated ammo display. I know that some people still struggle to know what ammo type they had switched to, so that might be hopefully an improvement. Adjusted the colour saturation of elements to stand out more. Ammunition panel redesigned to support multi-weapon and multi-turret vehicles to display all ammunition options. So that's really just something that was sorely needed for the multi-weapons and of course a requirement for the multi-turret. So that's a good change as well. There is now a cancel selection in the center of the radial commands, so if you're telling someone to attack or fall back or otherwise, you've now got a cancel option. The controller diagram now reflects the look and layout of the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 controllers. The BMP2 HE impact effects had the size and brightness reduced of the to be less overpowering. There's also going to be some minor user interface changes, both in-game and in the garage. I know in the garage there will be some changes to the commander section to allow you to find certain commanders a little bit more easily, and there's another minor example in-game. They will be changing slightly the communications wheel again. Nothing really of a major change here, which is why it's more just a brief nod to it as opposed to any major details. There will also be, in a similar sense, some relatively minor audio changes. It's going to be gun audio which is going to change, and that will be focused mostly on guns that are auto loaders and of that similar type. And finally, to conclude this week's instalment of the news, basically this is just information regarding lots of bug fixes. Now there's too many here for me to list, but rest assured they're all relatively minor, nothing that really impacts gameplay. They tend to be mostly cosmetic, to be perfectly honest with you. Nonetheless, what I shall do is provide a link in the description below, which means that if you want to have a look at all of these minor bug fixes, then you can. There's a fair few of them, but like I said, they're all relatively minor, nothing that really impacts gameplay, as they are all predominantly cosmetic. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, as ever, if you feel there could have been something done better, or if you think there's anything that I've missed out, then please do leave a comment below. If you think the video was good, bad or otherwise, again, please do give me that feedback in the comments below. Hit the like button, do subscribe if you aren't already, and of course, as ever, the obligatory mention of my Patreon page. The link for that is also in the description below. So, with that being said, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.